There's many positive things that gardening does for us, with self-sufficiency being one of the more important aspects. And it doesn't get more self-sufficient than saving your own seeds. Our flowering and fruiting crops can perpetually provide for us with just a few added steps. Some plants are easier than others, but mastering this aspect of gardening can give you control and power over your own food supply like no other. So today, I've picked 8 of the easiest crops to save seeds from. 8 plant species that you can grow forever, never having to buy it or their seed again. As plants grow and mature, they evolve from the vegetative systems of building branches, stems, and leaves to that of reproductive growth involving flowers, fruit, and of course those seeds. Many crops do this within a single summer, like these peppers here, while others can take up to 2 years to complete this cycle. We call these 2-year plants biennials, and they comprise the first 4 crops on our list today. Let's get started with everyone's root crop favorite, carrots. Yes, indeed, these guys are biennials. Sown, grown, and pulled all within a 2 to 3 month window, most people don't even get to see these guys flower. But flower they do, with a delicate, intricate, highly branched white inflorescence known as an umbel. In fact, they readily flower, have little to no issues with pollination, and have no trouble producing thousands of tiny viable seeds. The issue with carrots is that they are indeed biennial, and they're not going to readily flower for you in the first year. They need to grow substantially and endure a winter. Only then will they be able to enter a flowering cycle the following spring and produce seeds that summer. So, it's not necessarily a hard process, but you will need the patience as well as the time and space to leave a few carrots back so that they have a chance to bloom. 1 carrot and 1 flower will certainly do the trick, as they have both male and female parts and are excellent at self-pollinating, but it is taking a risk. I'm not sure that I'd leave a single solitary specimen to endure a harsh and unpredictable winter and then hope for the best. Don't chance it, leave a few behind. Similar to those carrots, we've got beets. Hiding behind my radishes here, beets are another biennial root crop that's also going to need a second season to pop out those flowers. Long, skinny stems with dense flowers, eventually leading to seeds clustered all down the sides. And speaking of clusters, even the seeds themselves are not a single entity. Hard shells, often clustered together, giving the appearance of a single seed, but in reality containing several. Be aware that when sowing a row of hundreds of beet seeds, you could actually be sowing thousands. Both carrots and beets love and thrive in the cool weather, and seeds collected at the end of summer can be planted right away in the fall, no problem. Okay, continuing on with our biennials, we've got onions, both the bulb kind as well as green onions. These alliums are prolific favorites of seed savers. The spherical, mass inflorescence umbel is impressive, attracting pollinators of all shapes and sizes. Dried out sees hundreds, if not thousands, of tiny, shiny, black angular seeds produced. And while they are considered biennial, you'll often see flowers in the first year, especially when you grow those onions from sets. Now, it's a good thing these guys are prolific, because onion seeds have to have some of the lowest longevity and shelf life out there. So, save those seeds every year and never buy bulb or green onions again. Now, rounding out our biennial plants, we've got everyone's favorite salad green, lettuce. Most times, we try to avoid having our lettuce go to flower, but in order to get that seed, well, we have to concede to it. Often referred to as bolting, flowering in lettuce usually occurs in times of high stress. heat, drought, and eventually age. All varieties do it, some a little quicker than others. Now, cross-pollination is quite difficult to accomplish, but if you are going to be saving your lettuce seeds, I do suggest growing like varieties together. When they do bolt, lettuce flower spikes are mighty impressive, although the individual flowers themselves are quite insignificant. These flowers are normally yellow, sometimes white, and they're relatively short-lived. At the end of its life, these flowers dry up and wither away, producing a white tuft called papooses, designed to carry those seeds away by wind. As such, saving those lettuce seeds is not a neat and tidy process, as there's bits and debris everywhere that have to be separated. Threshing manually, followed by sifting or lightly blowing away that chuff, is going to be required to isolate and get those lettuce seeds. Although lettuce technically is a biennial, it can be triggered to flower almost every time through the excessive heat of summer. So, let a few of your spring lettuces linger on into the warmer days, and they'll bolt for you almost every time. Our next 3 plants are flowers plus fruit, which makes seed saving super simple. The seeds are all together, self-contained, making their collection nice and easy. First up is everyone's favorite legume. That's right, peas. Now, these guys here are only about a couple weeks old, but they were grown from seeds collected from this spring's pea pods. A versatile crop that's at home in both the warm and the cold, peas come in 3 types: English, snap, and snow. All 3 are saved using the same process, and it's really quite simple. Peas grow fast, and their impressive white flowers grow into little pea pods seemingly overnight. The peas inside are the seeds that we want to collect, and they seem ready from the get-go. The only thing is, they're not. The only rule that you have to remember when you're saving peas is you have to wait until the pods are ready. You'll know that the pods are ready and the seeds inside are viable when they turn brown, dry out, and crack to the touch. As well, you should be able to shake those pods and have the seeds rattle around inside. This means that they're no longer connected to the pods and they're ready to collect. Speaking of, that collection is easy and the pea seeds are ready to plant right away or save them for up to 5 years. Saving your own pea seeds is an absolute must. Our next fruiting plant to save seeds from needs no introduction, and that's peppers, like this poblano here. Large, small, hot, or sweet, all pepper seeds are saved the exact same way. And the first rule is to only collect seeds from peppers that are fully ripe. We want those seeds inside to be mature and fully set to have the highest chance at germination next year. Also, we have to make sure to only save seeds from open-pollinated or heirloom varieties only. This goes for all seed saving, but especially peppers as well as our next crop. Hybrid fruit, as well as those peppers bought from the store, are of unknown genetic origin. Yes, the seeds will sprout and the plants will grow for you, but the fruit will be unreliable. For a crop that takes so much resources and so much time to grow from seed to harvest, it's a risk that I'm not willing to take. Remove the seeds manually, taking special care with those hot varieties, and spread them out on a paper plate or even some paper towel. Dry them in a well-ventilated room indoors for 5 to 7 days, and then store in a cool, dark place. This next one can be a bit trickier, and it's pepper's close cousin, the tomato. Again, super easy to collect the seeds, just make sure to do so from the ripest ones. The issue with tomato seeds isn't that they're hard to collect. The problem is the seeds inside are protected by a thin gelatinous coating that prevents them from sprouting in this constantly moist environment. The coating can be removed manually, but it's a massive pain. Instead, we ferment. It's not at all hard, but the timing is critical. Not long enough, and that gelatinous coating is going to remain, making a mess of the seed storage. But ferment these guys for too long, well, you run the risk of the seed sprouting, making the whole effort a waste of time. First, collect your tomato seeds from the ripest fruit. Try to isolate just those seeds though, eliminating any of that tomato flesh. For cherry tomatoes, it's easier just to squeeze them out. But if you're doing those big slicers or even bigger beefsteaks, well, you're probably going to have to dig. This part goes quickly because even just a few small tomatoes is hundreds of seeds. Next, add in some fresh water, just enough to start the fermentation process. After about a week, depending on temperature, that gelatinous coating should be fully dissolved. Most of the good seeds sink, making rinsing and cleaning them that much easier. After they're all rinsed and cleaned, spread them out to dry on a plate or a smooth piece of paper. Avoid using paper towel or tissue paper as the seeds are going to stick to it like nobody's business. It can take upwards of a week to fully dry your tomato seeds, after which time you can collect them and store them for up to 5 years. And lastly, we have our 8th and final crop to save seeds from, which is actually a group of plants, herbs, such as this dill and cilantro here that I saved from earlier this year. Basil, oregano, chives, and of course that's cilantro and dill. Honestly, if it flowers, most likely we can save seeds from it. Now, as most of you herb growers can attest to, we spend most of our time trying to get these guys not to flower. Yes, bolting does spell the end of most herb crops, but as we've learned so far in this video, it's just the beginning for seed saving. Just like with all the seeds that we save from the flower-only crops, you gotta wait until the flowers are fully dried out and withering away. In the case of cilantro, we've gotta wait even further than that, as those seed pods will sit there nice and green on the stalks for another week or two. If you can wait until the seeds are basically falling off the plant on their own, you know they're ready to harvest. Speaking of that harvest, there are a few universal rules for seed saving regardless of the crop, and the number one rule is never harvest on a wet day. Most likely doesn't make a huge difference for crops like, say, tomatoes or peppers, but for those big inflorescents like this green onion here, well, it's gonna make storing the seeds extremely difficult. Follow these 4 general rules and your seed saving will see the greatest success. Like we said, try to harvest the seeds dry and always pick from ripe fruit only. For direct flower to seed crops, wait until those seeds are almost falling off on their own. And once it's all said and done, regardless of the crop, store your seeds in a cool, dark, dry place for max longevity. Hopefully today I've shown you that seed saving is not only possible, but also pretty straightforward. Hey, if you're looking to up your self-sufficiency game, there really is no better way than saving your own seeds from your own crops. As always, guys, happy growing, and I'll see you in the next one.